Hello, everyone. Hope you all are doing well. I wanted to come on here really quick and talk to you about something that has been a reoccurring theme in astrology. I was working on astrology this weekend and I was looking at the new moon that we have that's coming up, and um, it came out again. I keep hearing this phrase, and it's called limited identity. And if you follow any of my pages, you know that I have been talking about and I've been touching on limited identity. And what is limited identity? Well, it's your limited identity of yourself. And what this means is that all of us are raised in programs. We are taught by our families how to behave, how to think. Many of us were raised in churches or raised in some other religious community, and we were raised that this is the right way to do things, this is the wrong way to do things, this is the right way to worship, this is the God you should worship. So we all have that behind us. And what happens is, if we are staying within that concept, and if we're staying within these labels that have been placed upon us, it kind of limits us to a better potential. Now, to explain a little bit further, I have when I go over things that are sacred, I talk about sacred writings and sacred teachings. And I say, and I have said stuff like, I was always taught not to cast your pearls before swine. And a lot of people take offense to this. And it's not because I'm calling people swine. It is simply a metaphor. It is simply saying not to cast your valuables before those who would not understand. Now, when you do not understand something, you do use it in ways that it is not meant to be used. There's a lot of words that are used nowadays that are used not the way they're meant to be used. People like to take words and make them mean different things, and that is really wrong. If you know anything about energy, you would understand this, and sound. So limited identity is when someone is trapped in a belief system, in a program that they refuse to leave, such as when people are killing other people in the name of their God. They don't think they're doing anything wrong, okay? Even though they are, but in their mindset, what they are doing is they are proving to their God how much they love them. They are proving their loyalty to their God, to their path, to that, to the whatever deity or whatever path they are walking. So understand that when people are doing things like that, they don't think that they're wrong. Quite the contrary. And this is because of the limited identity. This is a label that has been placed up on them, a conditioning, a program. And I see it being really repeated a lot. I know that when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, it was like, do not put a label on me. Do not label me. I am not going to fit inside of your square box. I am me, and I will be who I am. But in today's world, I'm seeing a lot of young people that are really diving into these labels and diving into ways that can define them. And it's really shocking because When you're diving into things trying to define yourself, that's more of an inside work than it is an outside work. So, and this that I'm getting at is that with a limited identity, which many people have in this world, and you can tell this because they choose to stay with a certain program. They tend to keep listening to the same news outlet, keep listening to the same things that actually poison their mind, and they refuse to get out of that box and find truth for themselves. The biggest thing that astrology has been really trying to push at us is to find out who we are, to find out our core, what we believe, what do we value, and so on. It is about getting to who you are at your core and then owning that. Owning who you are. And again, this is not saying put a label on yourself. This is saying, what are your convictions? What do you identify? Who are you and what did you come here to do? Now, it could be many things. We all have different strengths. We all have different weaknesses. We all have things that we're strong in. You may be a spiritual person, and you may be, you may be working in a corporate world, because you know what? You may be needed there. You may be doing work there that is helping, right? Not only helping yourself and your family, but helping others. So there's different ways to look at things, and we always want to categorize them as this or that. But there are other ways that we can look at this, and it's about having a different perspective. And this is really one thing that has been coming about as well, a different perspective. We just got finished going through Scorpio, which was all about transformation and all about wanting us to strip off the old so we can embrace the new. And there's a lot of more intense energies that are coming at the end of this week with the new moon. And this is a new moon in Sagittarius, and I do believe in the Vedic astrology, it's in Scorpio. And I will explain more of that in the actual astrology video. But I wanted to do a separate recording on limited identity because, I think it's very, very important for us to overcome this, what we are supposed to do, what we are supposed to be. It's very important that we overcome that and remember our core and who we are. This is, it's been said so much. I think a lot of people don't take it, seriously anymore. It's kind of like the saying, as above, so below, as within, so without. It's been so many times, it's losing its sacredness and what it truly means. For those of us who really get it, it doesn't. But other people that really haven't experienced that, again, it falls to the wayside, not because they're meaning to, but because they just don't get it. We have to understand that people are where they are. And, you can lead a horse to water, you cannot make them drink. You can show people, and through this limited identity, it comes in the cognitive resonance where they're repeating what is comfortable. And we are creatures of comfort. We really are. But we also have to understand that our world that we live in is about change. Changes are only constant here. And that is going to happen every single day. Every single hour, every single second, there's change that's happening. There's things that we are going to have to let go of. There's new things that we're going to have to embrace. It's constant. So when we stay in those boxes, we are robbing ourselves of our highest potential, of something, a higher consciousness, something that would be a lot better for us than where we are. And we have to get out of that. We have to get out of living from the past. And this can go into ancestral trauma as well, stuff that has been passed down from generation to generation to generation, to be a certain way, to think a certain way. We have to, break cycles, break the toxic cycles. And many people don't want to do that because doing what's comfortable is so much easier than stepping outside of that norm, when you step outside of your rut. And it's scary because, this is new ground that you're on. And that's one thing that we have really been walking on a lot, is new ground. We're in a place of chaos, which is, a change, a shift. And and I will say that the new moon on the 3rd or 4th, wherever you are in the world, is going to bring another shift. And I feel that it's going to be a good one. I feel that it's going to be like, I see fireworks happening, like aha moments, like getting things. So I don't want to get lost on that. I can get lost on that. But I really want us to look at what this limited identity is. And I want you to take this time. We are in our dark half of the year, so it's a wonderful time to reflect and think about how limited identity has prevented you from growing, prevented you from opportunities that have presented themselves to you that you were too scared to take. Think of how limited identity has played itself out in your life. And then I want you to go a little deeper and think about your values and who you are at the core. What do you believe? Don't, if you are listening to this, it's like, for example, it's like listening to the same program on the TV over and over again, like watching a rerun of the same episode over and over and over again. You do not get any new ideas. You do not get any new knowledge from that. You do not see anything new. Because if you keep, playing the same thing over and over, you're getting the same thing over and over. Yes, in our world, things have to change. Change has to happen. But we have to do so in sensible ways. And we have to do so in ways that not only mentally make sense, but emotionally, as well as honorably, soul-wise. So we have to consider the long run. We have to consider the longer future. We can't just consider right now. We have to look into the future, because I still plan on being here in the next 20 years. How about you? What kind of world do you want to be in? I like a world of peace. I do not like violence. Violence to me is a lower, it's a lower energy. It's one that brings you really, really down, and it sucks your energy dry. I do not like it. Unfortunately, it still has to happen in our world because there are other people that are stuck in their limited identity, and they're not going to change because they're too scared to. They have been brainwashed, conditioned, programmed, whatever you want to call it, to believe a certain way. And this is where we have to really start asking questions. I'll never forget, somebody says, well, if you just keep asking questions, it's going to be question after question after questions. Well, some things you can find the truth for, especially with things that, if you see something happen, of course, it's your perspective. But if we do not ask those questions, we will not find the correct answers. If we settle for half answers, if we settle for, oh, that's just the way that we do it. Why do we do it that way? I think this is one of the reasons that a lot of people got roped into certain pathways, because they were forced into fear not to ask those questions. And that's one thing that I really have a problem with, is fear, and how much fear is going on in this world right now. You cannot turn on one TV channel without some kind of fear that's being brought up. I don't even have regular TV. I did, in fact, watch some news, the MSM news, the mainstream media. I did watch some of that, and it's remarkable at how different the perspectives are when they watch the same thing. How when the words would come out and one thing was said, but others were reporting something totally different. That to me is crazy. I mean, it's like, are you kidding me? It feels like, are we living in the Twilight Zone? And yes, we are. We're living in a time of great change. We're living in a time of shifting energy, where cycles are ending and new ones are beginning. And yes, this happens, but astrologically speaking, this solar eclipse that we're coming up on the 4th is bringing another end to a cycle. But I will talk about that on the astrology. But for this one, we just really have to pay attention, and we cannot get lost within all of these different programmings and all of these different seeding of untruths and lies. I see the seeds everywhere. Anybody that works with energy can see these seeds happening. Anybody can. You can see how it's dropped. You can see how people are being used against each other. You can see it's like a chessboard. You can see this playing out. And the people that are still on the chessboard are the ones that are still lost in that limited identity. So, I'm going to leave you that. I want you to go and do your own research. What are your values? What's your core? What do you believe? What do you hold sacred to you? What is valuable to you? Venus has been in Capricorn. She still is. And she's really putting it out there. Also, communication. We have to communicate correctly. So this is a lot of falling away of these old conditioned thoughts, these old conditioned ways of thinking, of being, and it's time to evolve. This is about a soul evolution. This is not about who's right and who's wrong. This is about stepping up for what is good for the overall good of this world. Not just you, not just in your little city, but globally. Because there is bad stuff going on globally, and it has been going on, and it's getting worse. So we have to, this limited identity, We can't let it choke us. We just can't let it choke us. So you all have a good day, good night, wherever you are. I wish you well. Do some reflection. If you follow if you follow all of my readings, I did pull a card today for the week, and that is the card, the Hermit. So if you have tarot cards, why don't you pull one out, pull the Hermit out, sleep with it by your bed at night, and see what messages come to you. Okay? If you need to know some more in depth, I'll be talking about the Hermit later on in the week as well, but you can go check out my video on YouTube, and it will explain to you a little bit of the Hermit and what it means. So I'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves and merry part till we merry meet again.